All right, welcome to ARC 313. This is video 16 now, and we're coming into the closing moments of this painting of Villa Savoie. I want to just zoom in on the foliage a little because it probably looks kind of dark in this video, but if I zoom in, you can see there's a lot more texture going on. That's kind of what we're after, is just to kind of pick up a little bit more surface modulation. I also added a few little trunks on the foreground foliage in pencil just to kind of suggest the shrubbery is going in the foreground there. So right now we just have to do the shades and the shadows. And, if we look at this painting that's already done, the shades are the parts of the building that are not in the sun. And you can see that because this is modern architecture and it's white. We don't have to do a whole lot because we don't have to paint any other materials really. But we do have to just hit those shades and the shadows. Shades are going to be a value of around 3. So if 10 is black and 0 is white, we're going to have a kind of a lighter gray for these shades. And then the shadows will be a little bit darker, more like a 6 or a 7. And as we get underneath the building, we might even make it a little bit darker just to kind of pronounce that. And then the last thing you have to do is, if there's a shade in the window, you're going to have to go in and add even a little bit more depth. Try to maybe get that up to a 10 or something like that, just to show that shadow going over the window. And the same thing is true here. These are the shades over here, and then the shadows coming in over the top. So to do that, we're going to just have to get a really light gray to start off with. And if it's too dark, we just knock it down with our paper towel. And this looks like it might be about a 4, so I might have to knock that down a little bit. We'll see how it goes when I'm finishing up here. You can still hear that leaf blower, I think. A little bit of annoying. Leaf blowers, I guess, are for people who don't know how to use rakes. They're not very good for the environment, and they're loud. Yeah, so I just had to knock it down a little bit with the paper towel to get the shadow just right there. That's the beauty of watercolor. If you paint something too dark, you just knock it down while it's still wet, and it'll get it to the color that you want and the shade and value that you want. So here we are hitting the bottom now. This one I can allow to be a little bit darker just because it is underneath the building. And technically speaking, it would probably have the same value. But using our artistic license to make it a little bit darker to suggest that it's underneath versus one of the parts of the building that are not in the sun but still up and open in the light sky. There might be some ambient light that's hitting it. So I don't mind if this is a little bit darker than these shades. And once that dries, I can hit the adjacent shadows, but I can also do the shadow now on the very bottom, which will be darker because it's a shadow. That's what we're painting here. And on this side, it'll come off as columns and a little bit of shadow underneath there. See, because the sun is kind of coming from this angle here. I can hit this one because it's not adjacent. And this is too dark because it's starting to look like a window, but I'm just going to knock it down with my paper towel, get it to the right shadow depth, darkness. One more time how to do it. And again, there we go. So, see, I don't want it as dark as the windows, but I don't want it as light as the shades. So that is one possibility, is to overpaint the value and then just knock it down till you get to the spot where you want it. Perfect. See how there's a differentiation between the shade and the shadow, but it's not as pronounced as the difference between the window and the stucco. And the last thing is now to paint over, so we do the shadow right over the building materiality as well. Here, and on this side as well. And voila. And now the building feels complete because all the shadows are in it. The last thing I would do when I wait for it to dry is I'll hit the window and the shadow together there just to pronounce that a little bit more. But that's the long and short of today's lesson. Next week we'll take it in a different direction, but still focusing on rendering techniques. Thank you so much, and have fun painting Villa Savoie and Notre Dame du Haut, à Rochon.